Hi, boys and girls. It's Miss Finkelstein. Happy Monday. I have a good bedtime story for today. This one is called Pete the Cat and the Bedtime Blues. We've read lots of Pete the Cat stories, but I don't think we've read this one. So we know the authors are Kimberly and James Dean. I think they wrote the words and did the pictures. I think they did both. Pete and the gang had a great day. They'd been at the beach. Surf and sun and tons of fun. But when the sun went down, they didn't want the fun to end. Pete had an idea. See that little light bulb over his head? That's like in a book. Sometimes that tells us, the reader, that the character had an idea. Hey, how about a sleepover? More time for tons of fun. Groovy, Pete's place, let's go. And they're all his friends. The party was far out, but they knew they couldn't stay up all night. The gang decided it was time to say goodnight. It looks like they had lots of fun. Look at all the toys they were playing with. On went the pajamas and out went the light. Good night, Gus. Good night, Alligator. Good night, Toad. Good night, Pete. So here's Gus, here's Alligator, here's Toad, and here's Pete. You see Gus and Toad and Alligator and Pete. Pete was just about to catch some Z's when clap, clap, clap. Who did that? Pete asked. It was me, said Grumpy Toad. I don't want to go to bed. I want to clap instead. Pete covered his head. Grumpy Toad does not look like he is ready to go to sleep. This cool cat needs to go to bed. Good night, Gus. Good night, Alligator. Good night, Toad. Good night, Pete. Time to sleep. What do you think is going to happen next? Let's find out. Pete tried again to catch some Z's when rat-a-tat-tat. Who did that? Pete asked. It was me, said Gus the Platypus. I don't want to go to bed. I want to jam instead. Pete covered his head. This cool cat needs to go to bed. Time to sleep. You see Gus? He wanted to play music instead of going to sleep. Good night, Gus. Good night, Alligator. Good night, Toad. Good night. Pete closed his eyes to catch some Z's when he heard... Uh-oh. What do you think he heard? Munch, munch, munch. Pete had a hunch. It was Alligator. He was always up for eating. What could Pete do? What do you think he should do to get all of his friends to settle down? All the clapping, the rat-a-tat-tatting, and munching was giving him the bedtime blues. Pete had a groovy idea. Look at Pete all dressed in his pajamas. What do you think his idea might be? He got out his favorite bedtime story and started to read, first to himself and then to the gang. And the name of his story says Pete the Cat and 10 Little Monsters. It says the title right here. Pete noticed it was finally quiet. No more clapping, no more rat-a-tatting, and no more munching. They all settled down. No one made a sound. How calm their bodies are now. Pete yawned and turned off the light. Good night, sleep tight. Time to catch some Z's. Looks like they all went to sleep this time. Tomorrow was another day for surfing, sun, and tons of fun. And that is the end. There's Pete the Cat all dressed up in different clothes. You see that? And that is the end of the book. Hope you enjoyed that one, boys and girls. I'll have another one tomorrow. Good night.